Okay, we are with Risel and Ernest, and I always want to say Ernesto.
It's the name.
Ernesto.
Yeah. Operating as Ernest.
Yeah, it's the nice Canadian way to say Ernesto. So I just referred to you guys as two troublemakers. For those people who don't know, can you please describe to them where you live right now, just so they have context as we get into this conversation?
Okay. We live in the middle of the Atlantic. The Hawaii of the Atlantic is also known, the Azores. We're about 2.5 hours from mainland Europe and 4 hours to North America.
Which island specifically?
San Miguel.
San Miguel. How many islands are there?
Nine.
Nine? And is Madeira a different Portuguese autonomous island of some sort?
Yes.
There's 2 islands, and they're off the coast of Africa.
Okay. So Portugal's got all these islands that no one really knows that much about.
Correct.
And you guys fly direct from here to there.
Yes.
Because Ernesto, you have family. No, was it family that originally drew you guys back there?
One uncle kind of drew us back there. We blamed everything on him.
That was the roots.
That was the roots.
One uncle.
It goes deeper than that. So there's a joke that says, I was ordered in San Miguel, delivered in Sao Paulo, raised in Toronto. So my mom was pregnant. Mom and dad are from the San Miguel Island originally, left in 61, and mom was 7 months pregnant with me, and then
left. I guess just it was so poor, couldn't make a way of life.
Dad was a
fisherman on those islands.
Mom's side.
Okay.
Grandpa was a fisherman. Dad worked in the land, or my grandfather
worked the land. So farmer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Farming out there, and
maybe it was a nice way of life.
It was, and I had no desire to go back because all I heard is the miserable stories of how they struggled to survive.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, yeah, there's other places in the world I'd rather go see than somewhere people struggle to survive.
So then you're back there now, and what are you guys up to there? Just paint the picture. I know, Risel, we've spoke about this before, but if you could just describe it.
Well, we left on an exploring where to go to. It was either Brazil or Portugal. And it made sense to be a bigger fish in a little pond than a big fish or a little fish in a big pond, or a bigger fish. What means is it made more sense to go open. We also have a brokerage, as you know. We operate with a brokerage, and then and we were expanding globally. And so there was a choice of Portugal being the 5th country. We're 24 countries now since 2000. Anyways, we went there in January, thought it was cool. We're supposed to go back in July, August to finalize everything and get things going. COVID hit. And so we...
Didn't you, I remember when COVID hit, I feel like I got an update. I felt like you were at the airport throwing clothes into a bag and getting on a plane as things were being shut down. That's how I feel you left the country.
It was.
It was. Cashing the check. We just sold the car just before we left.
That's right. Yeah.
We had to mail the check back because we didn't have time to go to the bank. So, so we left in October 2020. Went through the whole thing. The funny part is that when we landed, the guy asked us, what are you doing here? We're just visiting. And he's like, you can't come in. So what do you mean you can't come in? It's like, we checked the portal. Nobody said we couldn't come in. Anyways, we freaked out. And he asked us for a return ticket, and we didn't have one. And
where did you land in that moment?
Lisbon.
Yeah, okay. And so how'd you talk your way out of that?
Well, officially, it was not true what he was proposing, because we were watching the portals every day, right? Because that's what I was like, if we're going to go, we got to get out of here now. There was a window, a couple of times there was windows of opportunity to travel in different places. So, but, I think what got him is that we went there, under a tourist visa. Right? So we were exploring the country to see what it was. So that's how we got in. Anyway, the guy got mad because if we had a return ticket, it might have been a different story, but we didn't. And so and
then what have you been doing? So you get your way there. What have you been doing?
We spent 18 months exploring
and launching
the brokerage. And so because we're a virtual brokerage, so it's not like we had to sit in one location and grow it from there. It was, you got internet, good, you're in. So it could be anywhere. And but we wanted to know the country because Portugal's a small country, but it's insanely diverse.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
From north to south and east to west and so on and so forth. So But funny enough, 12 months later, Risel now is applying for her residence visa because I applied for citizenship and got it because
cool.
Parents were Portuguese. So it was easy to get.
I can only. Was it easy to get? I feel like the bureaucracy in these countries is like a nightmare to navigate through.
It was actually harder through here for us.
Was it?
There. Yeah. There, applied.
Awesome.
Stamp.
Awesome.
Came back. Even though with the lining up on the streets.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't go inside the office, they take you.
You got it done.
Got it done.
Okay.
And then we applied for Risel, and one of the things for Risel's application was, where do you live? And we're like,
live.
Yeah. How do you answer that now?
We're like, today we live here. Mm-hmm. Well, you've been here for 18 months. Oh, the other cool thing that happened was you're only allowed 3 months, and then you can renew for another 3 months. But
this is on the tourist visa?
The tourist visa. Okay. But because of COVID, when we went to renew for the second 3 months, that time I was not a resident or a citizen. They had extended it for 6 months, and then COVID got worse, and then they extended it till
this is great.
Yeah, the government just allowed all the visitors in for the year of 2020.
Wow. Yeah, I would like to refer to you as an illegal.
Yeah.
We would have been if it wasn't for COVID. It would have been. So anyways, we get past all of that. But the funny part was when we realized, she said, well, I want proof of address. So I said, okay, what else you need? And she gave us a list of things we needed. And so we went back to the hotel and we printed all the Airbnbs and hotels we stayed. And we had about a 2-inch stack of paper, which was 256 locations in 18 months.
Wow.
So we did a lot of moving around. It was really cool. Mm-hmm. So we really got a feel for the country, for the areas, different dialects in different regions. Anyways, we got a really good feel. And then also looking at, obviously, investment properties, because, other than the brokerage, because that was sort of, set it up, hire the people to run it. We have infrastructure. Like we had to be there for 6 months. I supported, I supported the growth a little bit, or just sort of the implementation of this whole thing. What a North American real estate brokerage looks like in Portugal, where there's no rules, no regulations. The funny story is, when our leadership team asked, what's the population of Portugal? 10,900,000. Well, how many realtors? 10,900,000.
Because you don't have to have a license.
No license.
Anyone can sell real estate. No. Anyone can earn a commission for selling real estate. So the brokerage model, then, what's the brokerage is like just the trusted source in that? Does the transaction have to go through a brokerage?
No.
So you can do private deals or through a brokerage. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So anyone would go through a brokerage just because the brokerage knows what it's talking about and there's a bit of trust, perhaps.
Yeah, just like here. Right?
Yeah.
Sell your own house type thing, and most people do. Mm-hmm. But because there is, I would say, probably now about 50% of the transactions go through brokers. The rest goes through private and other sources.
Got it.
So independent consultants and.
Yeah, I was like in Croatia and I was looking at properties. I spoke to 5 different people. They all represented that piece of land. I was like,
that's a whole other.
So I'm trying to figure out who the heck is speaking to the owner. And they would all tell me, well, I'm the owner or I'm speaking to the owner. So you couldn't even start negotiations because you're like, who am I negotiating with? Mm-hmm. The wind? It was just a nightmare. It was a complete nightmare. It gave me all new respect for the way Canada does some transactions because I'm like, okay, as much as I complain about how Canada could be better, because it can be, but relative to some other scenarios, we got it going on. You could buy a property and close in 2 weeks, get a mortgage, do the whole thing. Over there, I remember looking for land title and you would go to the lawyer and the deeds are literally on when I was in grade school, I think you would make things look old by burning the edges of the paper. You didn't have to make these papers look old. They literally look like that. And they're trying to tie together this chain of title on who owns this deed and this deed. Yeah. And you're going back in time. And it's just a complete nightmare. Like you can't even digitize some of this stuff because it's literally, you touch these papers, I feel like they'll crumble in your hands. Like it was a nightmare. It took Nick and I 4 years to buy the property and get the title in our name. 4 years.
Wow.
And when we paid for it, the 2 banks didn't trust each other, that the bank we were using and the bank we were buying the property off of. We had to get the money cash in the currency at the time wasn't the euro, it was the kuna. I had a Longo's bag from here in Ontario. I filled the Longo's bag with cash, walked across to a cafe, and then the gentleman I was buying the property off, nice guy, sat there and counted all the cash as I'm drinking an espresso. Like, it was literally a big Longo's bag of cash. He looked like a complete drug dealer walking across the street. But one bank doesn't trust the other bank because they go to business. Wouldn't you know it? 2 years later, one of the banks in that town goes out of business. Wow. So anyone who had euros, at this time it was euros, in there, they lost the euros. And then you could appeal to the government. And my brother-in-law still has an appeal going on for a little bit of cash, not much, that was in there, trying to recoup it.
Jeez.
Anyway, so sorry, back to your real estate stuff. So you start the brokerage.
Looking for investment opportunities. We wanted to learn. As you're sharing, it's insanely different.
Insane.
No MLS,
nothing.
No registration. We don't know what property sold for.
You don't know if the lawyers are telling you the truth. You don't know who's telling you the truth. It's a nightmare.
Yeah.
And I'm a pretty trusting guy, so it was very difficult for me because I said, okay, you tell me this, okay, fine.
Yeah.
But then you talk to the next guy and he tells you a different story.
Totally different story with a different process even. You got to go to the Capitol. You got to get a stamp from this judge on this piece of paperwork. You're like, what the heck? This guy told me I didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
You're lost.
So we've traveled now through over a dozen countries, looking at opportunities and just.
Which country stood out through that process for you? I know you ended in Portugal, so it obviously did. But which other ones really, caught your attention?
Well, Brazil prior to the election.
Okay.
Yeah.
There was, as an investor, there was insanely amount of opportunity.
Okay.
Now being more of a socialist country again, so that made us quite nervous. So it was many things. We were looking for safety. We were looking for return on investment. We were stable government as much as it is.
Yeah, safety, big one. I never really thought about it, but you're right, of course, safety.
Huge.
Why did the Brazilian...
Ease of systems.
Sorry?
Even something like ease of systems.
Yeah, yeah. Why did Brazil, I don't know the politics of Brazil, was the socialist government, is it a socialist government? Or
no.
Okay, they were voted into power just because they were promising free stuff, like the classic way politicians get into power?
And then
all
the voting and all the dead people voting and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, okay, God.
Yeah,
all right.
So that kind of stuff. But
so that was enough to kind of turn you off of Brazil a little bit?
Well, cautious.
Yeah, okay.
Cautious, right? So we're always looking because, as you see, the world is changing so rapidly.
Yeah.
And, we were just sharing before we started this conversation, what was it like going through the 90s where you experienced it as a teenager. I was experienced in my early 20s. And it was hard. It wasn't easy.
The 90s were hard. I feel like the 80s were awesome. That was my teenage years. Like I guess I turned 10 in 83. So then like 83 to 90, wow, those 80s, I think that was like Cyndi Lauper era. Like, I don't know, that was just like a great era.
Yeah.
I mean, like we didn't lock our doors in Mississauga. I left my bike on the front lawn. Nobody dared steal it. I mean, it was just a wonderful time. I feel like that era growing up in the 80s, we drank from the hose. Like that kind of thing. Hey, man, we're thirsty. Let's go turn on your parents' hose and just drink from it. You're playing road hockey all day long. You're going to the school, finding tennis balls on the roof of the school. Like, it's just, nobody knows where you are. You call home like on the weekend, never. If it gets dark, you're like, oh, God, crap, I guess I should go home.
It was carefree.
It was just carefree in the creek, in Etobicoke Creek with your BMX bikes just down there causing trouble. I don't know, throwing rocks in the river. Like, it's just stupid stuff. Like all the stuff you would see in the movies or think about that era. And it was all true. And it was amazing. I think there was still good new rock music coming out. Like, it was an amazing time. And I don't think, it's funny because some people will give me a little bit of shit for talking like that. But I say that because it's not like, because they're like, oh, every generation thinks their youth was like the better generation. But I'm like, no, like I really think the trend line has continued to decrease so that it's not just that I'm looking to my youth as a great time. I think the years in the West, all of the West, from maybe the end of World War II to like 1990 or so, were like awesome times in all Western countries. Like it was just awesome times. And I think then the West has changed a lot because of the currency that we all talk about and all that kind of stuff. So I think it is an objective analysis when we look back and say, no, shit was better back then. It's not just me. And I'm not complaining about AI and like the iPads and stuff. I remember sitting too close to the TV playing Nintendo and our parents saying, you're going to lose your eyesight.
Yeah.
Like we had all the same things that we talk about now. It's just the overall feel of society. Like there was a feeling in the air back then that feels different than now.
It was happy. Right?
Yeah.
Happy,
yeah. And I feel like now everyone's on each other. Who's going to cancel who's right, label you. You say one thing wrong and like, you're right wing, you're a leftist, you're this. And it's like, and that all existed back then. I just feel like it's amplified.
Yeah.
You know?
So that was part of our journey. So, you know, when we got together in 2015, and so we created a 10-year plan. Mm-hmm. Right, so our joint email is Revision 2025, and we sat down, and you know, we're second marriage, we're adults, we know what we wanted, so it was very clear. It was interrogation, not dating.
Yeah, you know what you didn't want too.
Yeah,
we were very clear what we didn't want, and we set a plan, and we said, okay, and so what do we want our lives to look like in 10 years? We call it the FFP, Financial Freedom Plan, right? And so we look at this thing and say, okay, where do we want it? And we knew to be here and to have the lifestyle that we were looking at, and we're minimalists. And I mean, we're more minimalist now than we were
ever.
than 9 years ago. But so we wanted to look like, and we needed double the money that we live on now, right? And that's not we weren't talking about inflation and cost of living, so it'd probably be triple the money now. Now when I come back here and look at the prices, like. $10 for bacon and eggs, like what?
I know, right?
Right, $20. Sorry, not $10. Used to pay $10. Anyway, so we looked at this thing, and we were looking. You know,
bring the mic just a little bit over so it's in front of you there. There we go.
Okay, cool. So it was more of, you know, Andrew Anderson, you know, nomad capitalist. Go where you're treated best. You know, we were looking for, you know, where can we feel safe? Where can we? There's opportunities still, and. You know, like we just had breakfast with some friends. His 10-year-old daughter needed to go to the bathroom, and you sort of have to worry about her going to the bathroom alone. I mean, that sounds crazy. I mean, we were talking about in the 80s. That would be unheard of.
Yeah.
Right? Kid want to go to the bathroom? You want to go play at the park across the street? Okay, so you better come back tonight. Make sure you come back before it's dark. That's not happening anymore. That kind of safety, you know, we're talking about. So. Anyway, so it's been this journey of living our lives in our terms, right? Mm-hmm. And that was sort of, we spin around your thing. So what did we want our lives to look like? And we were having a conversation yesterday with some other friends, because we come here and we try to rush in some close friends.
See all the friends, check off all the boxes.
As much as possible. And so the conversation becomes... You know, what is it that you really want?
Yeah.
You know, because everybody wants something different. So we started looking. So it was, the seed was planted. And then we realized the freest we ever, about 6 months ago, Risel had mentioned about, you know, what is it you miss most? What's next? What's next for us after, you know, this venture? And so we were looking at opportunities. And what she missed the most is living off of 2 suitcases.
Oh my God, can't wait to just leave everything and just live out of one suitcase. One.
And it's something you can't explain until you experience it. Is like owning nothing. Mm-hmm. There's such a freedom of that. You know, everything you own is in a suitcase.
Not the World Economic Forum, you will own nothing and be happy, but by choice.
By choice.
Owning nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we own assets, you know, so we're big advocates of, you know, rent where you live and rent out what you own. And that allows us to move around. So we obviously want our investments to be safe. You know, we talk about Bitcoin and different opportunities. And
so the two, sorry, just on that 2 suitcase thing, that's just because you feel free? Like the day is yours, like there's no maintenance of things around you. You can go explore where you are.
More so. Like for me, it was, I don't have anything to think about. I don't have anything to think about. Just this suitcase. And I remember thinking, even in like Brazil, if I lost a suitcase, it's no big deal. I just go get another one. I don't have to think about dishes, cars, you know, home insurance, this. Like, it was like, what did I say? I don't want those things to occupy my mind space to that degree anymore. Like, once you've lived that, it's very hard to come back into a space.
It's just like a burden.
Yeah. Like, don't laugh at us. You know, we're the two crazy rock stars. We're living in the garage right now. Even that is occupying my mind space, and I don't like it.
Yeah. So we have an alarm system that goes through our phone, and at 3 a.m., well, it was 11 here, it was 4-hour difference, the alarm goes off. It could have been a spider in front of the sensor. Sure. It could have been somebody breaking the door down. We didn't know. So, I got to call the cops because things... But just now we got to worry about that. Yeah. There's nothing there. I mean, whatever. There's a 1-bedroom apartment and some tools. So those are the things, but that's it. You see, those little minor things, Oh, somebody took the TV, $400. Okay. But it's not even about the TV. It's the harassment, of police report now, and insurance and all of that stuff.
It's like the burden of modern living prevents us to show the world our true talents, and we can't express ourselves because you're so busy thinking about the bill to pay, even if you're financially totally okay, the bill to pay, or even managing the property manager that you have to pay the bills or to pay for your lifestyles. There's just like, I just think about my relatives who lived in a village, and if I think about my aunt, she worked hard. There was animals to take care of. There was fields to plow. There was weeds to pick. There was stuff to do every day. If you've never lived on a farm, living on a farm is work. But there was moments through those days where I feel like you're more free. Like you had to work hard, but like in the moments in between, it was total freedom. Like you could just enjoy the sunshine. You could enjoy a conversation. You could get drunk on a Tuesday night with the neighbor at the village. You could just be yourself more. You didn't feel like you were kind of contained. It feels like this world in modern Western society kind of forces you to conform to something instead of expressing your uniqueness. Does that make any sense?
Totally does.
That makes sense. And what you just said as you're speaking is I'm just seeing like a frame going around those words. It's like, that's the Azores.
Yeah.
Totally the Azores.
Yeah.
Yeah. It still has that.
It absolutely has that.
By the way, I've never been except for an emergency landing that when I went to Lisbon for Ruben's 50th birthday, we did like a guy's trip to Lisbon. I went down to Lagos and stuff. Beautiful. I love that area. I didn't get up to Porto and stuff, but then some lady had her appendix burst on the flight. Ooh. No doctors on board. The Air Portugal pilot guns it. We're halfway between Newfoundland and the Azores there. Yep. And I could see, I'm like, this guy's gunning it to the Azores. He's not turning around to Newfoundland. You could feel the plane almost just pick up some speed. Ambulances on the highway. So we touched down. We didn't get off. I pray she was okay. She was screaming in pain. It was such a horrible situation. And then we took off again and continued our journey to Lisbon. But that's my only moment. Inside a plane on a runway on the main airport. So San Miguel, I guess it was San Miguel. So I actually touched down there, but I never got to put my foot on the ground. Yeah. That's as close as I came. But it's cool to hear. But sorry, Ernest, keep going with your journey here.
We talked so many things. I'll just share one thing on this theme. We get a lot of people to ask us, how have you done this? And we share our story. And the number one answer that we get as why they can't do it is their stuff. What am I going to do with my house? What am I going to do with my things? What am I going to do with this thing? Even in your situation where you're soon to be an empty nester, but then there's the little dog.
Goddamn little dog. I call it this is our multi-million-dollar dog. If I add up all the money spent on maintaining this dog, I mean, I'm exaggerating at multi-million, but maybe not by that much. It feels like. Like, how much money have we spent on this? Canadian dollars. Oh yeah, it's 10 million. Canadian pesos? We're 10, not even pesos. The Mexican peso is stronger. I can't even make that joke. We're the Canuck buck. Or whatever we are, where they're useless. We went to the US. I was in Florida last week. I changed some Canadian dollars over. I look at the exchange rate. I'm like, oh my gosh, this cash is trash. But you're right. So your things, the dog, all these kind of
things
stuff
that hold you back, right? I mean, going now into the cash system. So the first 2 years, every time we purchased something in Europe, it was $1.56. It cost us. So I was like,
hurts.
Darn. $100. Ooh, $56. Oh. Now we're coming back here. It's like
everything's cheap.
Because now we're thinking euro.
In euros,
right? It's like okay. So having different currencies, looking at different opportunities. Anyways, the journey, So after these 18 months, we spent 6 months in Brazil exploring north, south, and east and west, and just found this paradise. You know, there's a joke. My cousin desperately wanted to see a cousin that I hadn't seen in 40 years.
Wow.
Right? So, and then finally got a hold of him and said, I'm going to come visit you. Where do you live? He goes, in Paradise. I'm like, okay. I'm looking through GPS. Paradise in Brazil. Can't find it. And then he tells me the name of the town, which is northeastern part of Brazil, in Joao Pessoa. And I was like, why Paradise? He goes, you know, you'll still see Adam and Eve kicking around here somewhere, right? And I'm like, okay. Anyways, when we got there, we felt it was paradise.
Wow.
The weather was perfect, the climate, the quality of life. It was really nice. And Brazil is pretty, you know, dangerous as well in some places.
Sure. Yeah.
And so you constantly, you know, in the big city, I'm from Sao Paulo, we went to Rio and all the major cities. You know, you kind of always have to be looking back, you know, always being aware who's around you, you know, especially in a crowd, that make sure nothing's in your pocket's going to go missing, because it will. Pickpocket is, you know, the biggest crime in Portugal is the big cities, pickpockets. That's it. You know, nobody's getting shot.
Sure. Yeah, but there's theft happening.
Yeah, that's kind of petty theft. But anyway, so we went through that. And then, you know, we went back. Went back to Lisbon and said, okay, we've done this. So then we went to Greece, we went to Spain, you know, to look at different opportunities. And then the uncle story, going back to the beginning. So my uncle lives in the Azores, and said, okay, let's go visit my uncle. You know, we'll go there for 3 weeks. And 3 weeks became 18 months.
Wow.
It just made more sense. So, you know, corporate tax is better, you know, sales tax is better. There's a lot of advantages being part of the autonomous region. The EU just throws money at the poor countries of the European Union.
Oh, wow.
So if you know how to take advantage of that, there's non-refundable loans, there's grants, there's all kinds of stuff.
Oh, really?
You know how to tap into
and is that so it's an autonomous zone? I don't even know what that means. So it's part of Portugal, governed kind of by
separately
Portugal?
governed.
Separately,
there's
there's its own government.
Yeah.
But
it's
it
almost like a
reports
provincial
into
government.
Portugal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the federal law still overrules everything.
Okay.
So
but your taxes are perhaps less?
Less.
way less.
Yeah.
7% less.
7%. What's
8%
the 8% corporate tax?
Lower.
What is the
mainland.
tax rate?
21%.
21% for corporate tax.
29, 28, 29 mainland, 26, 27 in Madeira.
Okay.
Madeira is a little bit, Madeira is 22, 23, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, slightly different. Madeira used to be a trade-free zone, which nobody knew. Everybody thought of different places in the world, but it was like that's where we started moving towards incorporating, because once you're based out of one of the islands, you can still operate anywhere.
Sure.
Within Portugal region.
Got it. I almost went there this year. I wanted to go to a Bitcoin conference. It was there just to check it out. And the pictures I saw coming out of there were just beautiful. Okay, so you're there. And then you start doing some real estate stuff.
Yeah, so, you know, and from
Just
the beginning, we started selling, you know, like I couldn't believe some of the opportunities.
Yeah.
You know, I see Portugal and parts of Europe, but especially because we spend so much time, so I can only speak on Portuguese, but there's opportunities everywhere. If you know, you have to take the time and learn the market. No different here, right? So you just don't come here and throw your money at something. So we looked at the opportunities, and I thought, man, if you have just a few bucks, the opportunities are insane. We call it the diamond fields. They're walking on diamonds, but they can't even see
it.
Right?
Yeah.
Because when you're born there, you don't see it.
No.
Well, they don't have the cash. It's the haves and the have-nots. I mean, minimum wage is now $820
Euros
a month.
Got it.
So they're living on nothing. So it's challenging. You know, if you have a decent job, if you're making $1,500, you're a rock star. You're doing well. If you're making over 2,000, it's rare. You know, it starts 2,000 plus. So give you some reference. Police, 1,500 to 1,700 a month.
Okay.
Firefighter, around that type. You know, so that's how much they're making. So it's not easy to save up money and do some other stuff. So, anyways, we looked at opportunities, and then we got to the Azores. Went to visit Uncle, looked around again. This is cool, nice place, beautiful scenery. The food is great. Food is really good. It's like, oh my God.
You're looking good. You're looking good. You're looking good.
Yeah, no, it's and then you start looking at opportunities, and you're saying, okay, what's available. And then we purchased an old abandoned building, which is 220 years old.
Which island are you on?
This is in San Miguel.
Okay.
It's an 8-acre site. We can build on 2 acres right now. We're going through the rezoning process, and so hopefully to double that to 8 acres or to 4 acres out of. So it'll be 4 acres of green space, which is really cool. But anyway, there's a whole history around there, and and I think this is something we've talked to you guys about. At some point, we'd like to open up opportunities. I think there's so many opportunities for us. We've been thinking about just wholesaling stuff and leaving meat on the bone for the next person.
Sure.
We don't need to earn it all. That's like, so there's opportunities there.
Well, maybe if you lock up something, get the paperwork all straight so Canadians don't have to kind of fight through the bureaucracy of that mess, and then kind of selling it as a clean property, that would be appealing, I think, to some Canadians.
Well, and that's been our process. So, one-stop shop, all in full service, concierge service from getting your taxes number. You have a tax number, so you can be a Canadian and own real estate. You just need a tax number and a bank account and somebody who's going.
And how do you get a tax number? A bunch of forms you have to fill out and stuff.
Simple.
Pretty straightforward. So I can as a Canadian.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
It took like 30 minutes.
There's not a minimum investment.
No.
No.
Really?
Yeah, you just go pay your fee and
It's a SIN number. Think of a
That's it.
SIN number. You need a SIN number as long as you're registered in the SIN, because you can't open.
And then I can get a bank account once I have that number.
yeah, you need that.
and you
now.
can close real estate, because you can't close a piece of real
Okay.
estate without a SIN number.
Are there any? And I guess are there financing options for Canadians? Probably not.
There
are.
tons. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So as a Canadian, just with this tax ID,
20% down.
20% down.
Locals 10.
So I can go into a
30%,
bank and they'll
depending on your credit, 30%.
but I'll have no credit in Portugal.
But you can use your credit from here.
Really?
There's so much of that going on. Yeah, you got to remember, like Ontario and then Massachusetts and California is, if all of those people from the Azores came back to the island, it would sink.
Yeah.
It would be,
Yeah.
the population would be insane.
So they have these processes because of these Portuguese people who are coming back from these different areas. They kind of recognize your credit score.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So even as a Canadian who's not Portuguese, they have the process in place to check your credit score.
Yeah. So we
I
use
can
a guy called portugalmortgages.pt.
Okay.
Plug for the boys.
Portugalmortgages.pt.
Yeah. So
Okay.
you go to them and they'll fill out your application, and same thing.
Are you seeing Canadians come in onto the islands?
and a lot of Americans.
Really?
Oh yeah, like a
So when we
What-
arrived,
yeah,
when
go
we
ahead.
arrived in Portugal, it was funny. It's like when we explored in January, it was Chinese,
Okay.
and then right after just the COVID thing happening, and right after that, it was Russian money, right, all over the place. So those were the two dominant. But what we were shocked to find out, it was the other two before the Chinese came. It was the French and the Germans. And before that it was the British, because they were right there. Portugal became sort of the Florida for the Brits.
Makes sense, so close.
Yeah, one
Brexit
point.
continued, so a lot of Brits went back home, and they lost their ability. They needed now to apply for citizenship and so on.
Oh,
So,
got it.
right. So once they were part of the system, they can come and go as they please.
What's the weather like in the winter on San Miguel?
Cold days, 12 degrees,
Oh.
average temperature 14, 16.
Got it. Oh, Mediterranean.
Yeah.
Okay. So that you're seeing Canadians and Americans pile in. Well, yeah. And what are they saying? Why are they there?
Well,
Some as investment and staying in America, or some moving there?
Moving.
the divided world.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's how bad. We're seeing more and more the comments how bad things are in Canada.
From a cost of living bad,
Yeah,
or
everything, crime, this, that, yeah, you name it.
So I say to them as a joke, I said, you come from the divided states of America. Right? So
Sure.
it's divided states of Brazil.
Yeah.
And so the world's very divided now. So, people...
we had an Uber driver just in Florida. He picked us up in an F-150. Never had that before. American flag between the two seats. He had a baseball hat on that said "Get Loud," and this was our Uber driver. And I was like, "This is amazing! Like, what's going on?" And we were starting to talk about it. He goes, "Well, there's some states we like, and there's some states we don't." And he was very clear about it. I'm like, "Wow!" Like I felt like I was in an American movie of some sort, So yeah, it is divided. The world is a little bit divided.
So people are coming. We meet people that left because Trump was in power. And then we're now meeting people because Biden's in power.
Right? No one's happy.
No, but exactly.
Everyone's pissed off.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Yeah.
So you get all of that, and you still read politics because it can get ugly, and and the same thing. So Portugal's had a leftist, I guess, government for decades.
That seems like what I would expect to hear. Sure. Yeah.
But not now. We have a right wing government, which is right of center.
Center, yeah.
Center
Okay.
is the best you can get as a right wing. So we'll see how that's going to play out, but so far so good. And anyways, the journey, looking at opportunities, that was the whole thing. So the returns and investments, Portugal has like a 1031 exchange similar product.
Okay.
So if I'm making capital gains, I could just roll it over into the next deal. I don't have to cash out and pay, Uncle Trudeau there his portion every time we make this partner that you didn't ever wanted in your life.
No, well, I mean, the government deserves it.
Yeah, of course, yes.
You and I are going to have to disagree on this point, okay? More tax is better.
Yes.
Okay?
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Why are we here? Yeah.
Jeez.
Anyway, so those...
Government's going to probably frisk your pockets on the way out at the airport. Hey, any Canadian dollars left in there? They stay here. Sorry, continue. I'm throwing you off.
And we were talking about service, again, before we started the conversation about the service. And because the wages are so low, it's a non-tipping community. So there's no tips.
Yeah.
Very little tips.
Mm-hmm.
They leave 10 cents on the table
Sure.
on a $100 bill, which is $1, which is ridiculous, right? So there's no incentive to, why should I kill myself or not? Mm-hmm. So there's that, unfortunately. And so providing good service is rare. And then you talk about European bureaucracy or in South American bureaucracy. And, being a builder and developer most of my career here in Canada, and they tell me, it's going to take 18 months. And I go, that's it? Only 18 months? You mean I have this massive project which is going to take me 4 to 5 years to get approvals for in Canada. It's going to take me 18 months? I'm in. And now with they kind of threw in to try to win the election. We had a long story, but anyways, we had a by-election. Our former government got caught with his hand in the cookie jar, so they had to do another election, and this time he lost. And so they threw in this new housing shortages everywhere, by the way. Just so
Sure.
you guys are not.
I think we all know it's a global
Globally.
thing. Yeah,
Right,
it's a second order effect of a broken monetary system. Mm-hmm. It's global.
Yeah.
And so they implemented a new law that you now provide your drawings for pre-approval. It doesn't have to be full drawings. This is not working permit drawings, but just to give them a good sense of what you're developing. So what they call a pre-approval process. You give them all your drawings. The city now has 30 days to respond. If they don't respond in 30 days, you can start building.
Wow. Love it.
Right? So it's like,
Let's go.
For us, it's been a dream. So mind you, we're the guinea pigs for this new law. So I'll tell you in a few months.
Because you started building?
Right. So as of May 1st, so we got permits going in now full force, and we'll see what it looks like in the next little bit. We didn't build anything. People are asking, they're always asking. I was just being super cautious. So interviewing the top builders, who's the suppliers? How do it's an island, right?
Yeah.
Nothing.
I tell everyone, entrepreneurs are risk averse. They're not risk takers. You're doing your due diligence.
And it takes time. Yeah.
Right. So, and I also have there's less sand on the top of the hourglass than the bottom these days. So
you don't want to do you don't want to do a life rebuild. You're trying to do it right now.
Yeah. Well, I'm okay to a little setback, but no major setbacks. Right.
How old are you now?
62.
62. So you got what? You got 40 years. Good 40 years. Good 40 years, 4 decades.
Three.
The Leafs are probably going to win 3 Stanley Cups in their lifetime. Why is that getting the most laughs?
Flight to Canada for that one.
Cheers to that. If you're listening to this, you can. Ernest just did a cheers and took a glass of water on.
They won once in my lifetime, so
yeah. Jeez, none in mine. I got a few rebuilds left. I'm only 51. What do I expect? So anyway, so then in May you're starting to build something now?
No, we had acquired these properties.
Can you describe them for everyone listening? Pieces of land in the middle of San Miguel somewhere?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the property was for sale for 10 years.
Okay.
And it has an old abandoned manor. They call it a manor. And so this gentleman had 14 kids. So it was a pretty big house. It was 10,000 square feet. But it was only the 4 walls. Everything else, anything wood has collapsed, rotted, and gone to the ground. And so my key thing was, as long as it's not part of a historical, because that was the whole thing. And somehow this family, they had some pull, I guess, to keep it off the books as far as a historical property. Excuse me.
Oh, that's good. Smart.
And so we knew we can rebuild that. And then the middle of the land, it's all this land in the middle of this massive block, in the front of the street. And I guess because it was all overgrown, it was bush, right? So there's a whole bunch of stories around this. Some of the neighbors, when we started to clear the land, they're like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't even know that was there." Like we have this lookout. They created these lookouts for the 17 and early 1800s because there was no ports. So the major ships stayed out in the sea, but when you saw the ship coming, right, there was a citrus industry. It was in the Azores.
Okay.
So when the ships were coming, rockets, bells, whale hunting was a big thing. So you had these lookouts, and we have this massive pyramid that goes up about 60 feet. So you go around and around until you get to the top, and you sort
Risel was telling us.
Yeah, you sort of sit up there and look out, and when the ship comes, you ring the bell or whatever you did, and then people would go harvest because the fruit is okay as long as it's on the tree. It doesn't start rotting. The moment you pick it, you now have to get it in the boat.
So they would look out for the boats. The boats would arrive. Then someone would see the boats. Then you start harvesting whatever you're going to sell. Smaller little boats would come off the bigger boats.
Yeah.
And then
the guys on land would row.
They would row to the big boat.
To the big boats with their produce and back and forth until they loaded the boats and they went off. Anyway, so that was the property. So Thomas Hinkling is the guy who built our house. He brought American masons, and this is in the late 1700s, so 1790s.
Wow.
So Thomas Hinkling was, he was the
first vice consul
to the United States, commissioned by George Washington.
Come on.
Yeah, it's on his gravestone. And we found documents, with it, and letters from George Washington.
Yeah. So he built that house. That was his family home. He had a house in the city, which was his business. And then when you go to San Miguel, one of the places you'll experience is Terra Nostra, which was his summer home, which was in the natural spring water pools and hot pools, and you have all of that. And he built this beautiful but because he was shipping all over the world, he also imported plants,
trees.
So there's it's the most beautiful garden. I mean, it's
because he's got all these different species of trees
from all over. Because we're subtropical weather there, and so you have this subtropical. And so anything grows. We have this joke. You throw a stick on the ground, a couple of weeks later, there's a tree. It's happening that way.
Olive trees.
Not so much there. Humidity.
Yeah.
Okay. Olives and walnuts and that kind of stuff needs a little drier.
Yeah. People will have ornamental, like olives for themselves, just as ornamental plants.
Yeah. So we're now planting avocados. We have about 100 avocado trees because that's lots of rain, and that's okay there. Even though it doesn't like it, but there's microclimates through the island because of the hills and valleys and things like that. So anyways, it's lots to learn. As you can see, we spend a lot of time studying the market. Anyway, so back to the piece of land. It's a half a kilometer long and a narrow path in between this massive block of houses. And it has about a 250-foot difference from the main road, at least 200 feet to the upper. So basically, once you get, I don't know, probably 30 feet, you start having ocean view, and then it steps up in ocean view all the way through. Mm-hmm. Very cool. So we're redesigning it. We're rezoning it.
What are you going to do with it?
Gated community.
Gated community. So that's still the plan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we'll rebuild the manor. We're doing a mansard roof, which they never heard of. So we're going to put hopefully a penthouse unit or two up there.
Wow.
So it goes from 10,000 to 12,000 square feet or more. And then finally started looking at some drawings. But so going back to studying, so top construction companies, architects, lawyers, accountants.
Yeah. Do you have these resources on the islands, or do you have to go to mainland Portugal?
No, they're there.
Okay.
But, so finding the right people, so it's been a real challenge.
And you think you have the team now?
Building the team. So we hired our own architect full time.
Okay.
Because it made more sense to hire one than contract one.
Come on.
Seriously.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it made more sense to hire one, and because we have that piece of land, in the process, because of the very top, it was hard to access. Because I thought, building a road, a kilometer road all the way up through this valleys and ditches and rocks, you encounter massive rocks, and so we bought a property at the top that gave access to the northern part of the property, and so it turned out that there's a house that we can duplex it. We're going to duplex that into 2 4-bedroom units, sever the backyard and put 1 or possibly 3 houses in the backyard. Just, right.
All ocean view, yeah.
Yeah.
And you will sell these off, I guess? This is going to be a project that when they're close, are you going to sell it on spec now?
No. Initially, we thought about that.
Okay.
We thought about that. But again, you go through people, they're selling stuff off that by the time they started construction, it was worth 30, 40, 50,000. Prices are going, keep going. There's still a huge demand.
Oh, you're seeing the demand for them?
There's a huge demand for demand. There's not a lot of good quality homes. I mean, there's decent homes.
Yeah, got it.
But expats are coming in and they're expecting a certain comfort that the locals are okay with.
Especially if you have making that move, you probably have some financial ability. So you have some kind of standard that you're trying to hit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So we want to cater to the expats, to cater to the people coming in to invest in, and basically be a resource for them, for everything. I mean, that's part of our journey now, helping you through immigration process, get your bank account.
So then your home base now will probably be here for a little while. Risel, is that okay for you?
Home base? What's that?
Yeah.
What's
that's the big question in my head still.
Here in Toronto or here in the Azores?
Azores.
Oh, Azores.
Yeah. Oh, you're gone out of Toronto.
Yeah.
You're gone out of, I don't look at you as Torontonians anymore. Yeah. Jeez.
So, I mean, our goal is Azores for Europe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Panama, most likely for Central and South America.
You like Panama because?
Well, if you get past all the nonsense, there was still some advantages. I always look at it as a business first. We're corporately, banks.
Yeah.
We're tax advantages. It's not how much
easy to deal with.
Fairly easy.
Easier.
To deal with.
Relative to other places.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about expat living. That's one point I always want to make with people is it's different in Canada. Like when I come here, systems are so easy.
Sure.
Everything is in place.
We have that going for us, no doubt.
And as an expat, I speak the language.
Yes.
There, it's different.
You know the politics and the culture here too, so and that's important.
South America, it's different. Central America, it's different. So it's like I try to tell people, don't pull your hair out, but just take, keep going in that forward, momentum.
Yeah.
And you will get frustrated. You will hit walls. That's part of the process.
It's important to know the culture too, because I know over in Croatia, they have a certain aggressiveness to the way they communicate sometimes, that if you don't communicate with that in the appropriate time and place, you lose, they don't respect you.
Right.
So you kind of have to know, you got to yell at somebody sometimes. Whereas in Canada, we don't really do that unless you're, I don't know, some kind of road rage situation going on. But over there, it's kind of like a thing of respect. Somebody doesn't treat you right. And I mean, even a lawyer or someone, you kind of bark back at them a little bit. And there's then that kind of immediate mutual respect. You get things done a little bit better. And that's just in the culture there.
Right. So that's
you wouldn't
a great
know
example.
You wouldn't know it as a Canadian.
Right.
I remember meeting a friend coming off a cruise ship. And we were going to a restaurant, and he's a very polite Canadian with a big family. So we needed, Carol and I are there to meet up with them. We'd already been in Croatia for a few weeks, and they're coming off the cruise ship, and just very Canadian attitude. They come to this patio, and this, waitress is kind of cleaning the tables, and he politely asks, oh, can we sit in this shaded area over here? The heat's freaking killing us. Can we sit? And she's like, oh, that area is closed. And he's like, oh, okay. And, he starts moving into the sunlight, and I just bark back at her. And this is going to sound rude to some people, but I swear this is how you communicate. I'm like, what are you talking about? We're sitting over here. And she immediately looks back, fine, and it was totally fine, right? Then a minute later, she's there with the menus and the napkins and everything. It was totally fine. But if you didn't know to bark back in that moment, you're sitting there sweating in the sun, and it's a little example, but that's just how it works.
Correct.
So you kind of need, having you guys there is important because you kind of know how to navigate these things,
And so, the advice I give to anybody who's even dreaming of this kind of lifestyle is take your time. You got to interview at least a dozen people.
Oh, yeah.
For every
position you want.
We fired 5 architects.
So, 5 architects you've been through.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, geez.
And apparently that's normal.
Yeah. Why? Because they promise things, then they don't do any work.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't show up and whatever. Everybody's... They're great salespeople. They'll sell you, ice on a cold day.
Sit with you for hours having a coffee, telling you how great they are.
It goes back to the service. So one of the key things is, for us, it's learning the culture, right? And so in hiring somebody to support you around that journey.
Yeah.
So we have people that, we feel fairly comfortable with.
Yeah.
And get their opinion because they know how to get around the system.
You need like a guide on the streets.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A couple of guides.
Absolutely.
Anyone leaving Canada needs that. Yeah.
You need a guide.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, you wouldn't go through an African lion safari without a guide.
No.
Or a desert safari without a guide, or even a mountain climb without a guide.
And it could be frustrating if you don't know you need that, because if you land in a place like that as a Canadian, you expect certain services to happen in a certain time.
Correct.
And if you don't have that guide, you'll just get frustrated. You won't get anything done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's like you. So we were telling our friends this morning is that the first question they ask you, where are you from?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Where are you from?
Yeah.
Right. I'm from down the road. Oh, okay. So then you get the local price.
Yeah. I don't actually speak Croatian when I'm over there right away. I speak English. They immediately think I'm a tourist.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Then they start talking to me in prices. Then I bark back to them in Croatian. And then they kind of look startled. Oh, okay. We're going to do it this way. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that way is my test. Like, how much are they ripping me off right now?
So you've heard of the Portuguese golden visa and
Yeah.
this sort of investment by real estate by investment. And so that was the houses that were 300,000 were selling for 500,000.
Jeez.
Because, see, people, you needed to get a certain threshold, and there wasn't enough of these because houses were not 500,000.
Yeah. So they just bid them up.
They bid them up.
Yes.
And prices kept going up and up. So
That's gone now, right? The golden visa. Okay.
Kind of.
kind of. There's still loopholes.
Okay.
If you know how to get around it. So there's actually better opportunity.
Why would I need a golden visa if I could just get a tax ID and start? What is the difference of having the golden visa?
So
versus
as a residence, you have to maintain a minimum of 6 months. It's just like the Florida Canada thing.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
It's you're not there. The golden visa, you only need it 2 weeks. You show up there for 2 weeks for the first year, and then 1 week for the next.
And you have status in the country with the golden visa.
Yes.
With the tax ID that you told me to get, I don't have any status in the country.
No.
I can
Correct.
buy a property.
Correct.
But I don't have access to any of the social services or stuff.
Correct.
But with a golden visa, I was getting that type of access.
But there's
it.
there's different. There's the nomad visa now. There's
Okay.
D7 visas, D2 visas.
Yeah,
It
there's
depends on
different
what you
visas
want.
for different
Okay.
things.
So it's fairly easy. I mean, and the threshold on income, it's probably around now 1,200 euros.
Okay.
a
So
month for a single person.
Portugal's a possibility for Canadians then.
Huge
Yeah.
for everywhere, bro. They're coming from everywhere. You
Is
go-
Portugal more aggressive from what you've found than other countries, like with ease of getting in there and getting these IDs and getting financing? Like compared to what you learned, I don't know, in Spain or Brazil?
I would say it's reasonable.
Yeah?
Very
Yeah.
reasonable.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, I can compare Greece and Spain.
Okay. And how was Greece?
Yeah.
Option. It was good. Same thing. Bureaucracy, good
Okay,
opportunities.
but you
as
could
well.
get a tax
$50.
ID pretty easily.
Really easy.
Yes.
You
Okay.
can still buy. You can still, as a foreigner, you can still buy real estate.
Okay.
Again, it's getting to know that
Yeah.
system.
So-
And,
yeah,
and then
for sure.
there's, you're buying in the islands, or
Local,
you're
yeah.
buying in the mainland,
Yeah, yeah.
you're buying in the sticks, or you're buying in the city. Like we met a German, we have an acquaintance now, a friend, who's become a friend. German, started dating a Greek girl and started investing. And what he does for a living is completely different. But he started buying crappy little apartments for 10, 20, 30,000 euros in the middle of Athens, refurbishing them, doubling their value, and then putting them on Airbnb and making insane cash flow.
Yeah,
He's
I
got
guess if
50
you're buying them
units.
for that price, right?
Ridiculous, right? So he was just
The management of that scares me. But sure, it could work. It absolutely works. I'm not saying it doesn't work. Absolutely. I'm just thinking, ugh.
Well, it wouldn't be any worse than you owning 50 doors here and managing that, or finding somebody to help you manage it.
Yeah.
So it's finding the
Maybe
right.
the Airbnb, the turnover in the Airbnb.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. We
Yeah.
understand that.
It's not cheap.
No.
Their management alone, I mean, having a management company might not be a bad investment. It starts at 30 points plus.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, for Airbnb management.
Yeah, so no, this is just regular management.
Regular management.
Yeah, yeah. It's regular management.
30% of the rent.
30 points. Yeah.
Where?
Most of Portugal, because
Really?
there's not that much, right? So if you want the service, I mean, you can get somebody to do it for 10,
Yeah.
but like in most,
Even on a long-term rent, 30% cheaper than 18.
18, 15 maybe.
Yeah, okay.
Long term. But
Wow.
Nobody wants the long term.
No.
So most of the rentals now are seasonal. So they'll rent you 5 months
Sure.
in the
Yeah.
fall, winter. But in the summer, like
they're maxing out.
you can get in a weekend where you're renting for a month in off season. Right? So huge shortage of opportunity. So we're talking about the European Union throwing money at you. If you're building anything touristic, right? So our properties, it allows us basically 40% coverage if we're doing regular.
Okay.
But 60% coverage if we're doing anything tourist.
And what's tourist? Rentals.
Apartments, hotels, touristic apartments.
So will your stuff be tourist? Saying it like that.
We're going to do a combination of.
Yeah. Okay.
So you have the option of both. So you can live, or you can then have the opportunity. So they call them ALs, logement local, or
you can rent
TLs.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it's tourist apartments, or logement local is basically Airbnb. So you can,
got it.
So you have to have a license.
Got it.
They have to get it inspected. Smoke detectors, fire extinguishers, little nonsense things like no gas stoves.
Yeah, got it.
Stuff they demand, which is fine. And then obviously they have the opportunity to tax you. You get caught without.
So you're in this process over there. You come back here. You mentioned breakfast is expensive now. Do you regret any decisions that you've made that you want to share? You might not want to share any, but was it the right move to, I guess in general, was it the right move to leave Toronto when you did and leave Canada when you did? Risel, why are you saying? By the way, for anyone who's listening to this, Risel was here by herself, and we did get you speaking more the full time on the last podcast. We're hogging Ernest because I haven't seen him. No. We haven't seen you. Rizel's been here, but Risel, why did you say, oh yeah, like what is it?
Oh my gosh, like it's such a different, it's cheaper outside.
It is cheaper. It's overall cheaper.
Quality of living is better.
What do you mean quality of living?
Oh, I wake up, let me just give you I wake up in the morning and I go to my window and I
see the ocean?
I see the ocean. I watch I see the cruise ships coming and going. When you work in an environment where there's so much beauty, I mean, I'm thinking of Portugal and Brazil particularly, right? Because those were our two long countries. Those views, your stress, no matter what it is you're doing, because while we were traveling, I'm managing the properties in Canada, right? Stress level is...
You still have properties in Canada.
Yeah. But the stress level is down.
Yeah.
You
laugh when somebody sends you from Canada, I need this ASAP. You just laugh.
I laugh.
Like, what's your problem?
Yeah. But you know what? I can flip back into that, and it's easy to deliver it to them ASAP.
Sure. Yeah.
But you do the same work and you have less stress.
Yeah. I read a study once that when humans have a horizon to look far out at every day, it relaxes the nervous system. And I wish I could remember more details. I read that a long time ago. But I just thought, oh, yeah, like my life, where I live day to day, compared to when I go to Croatia, and we're up on it's a really kind of steep area. So our condo is it's a hike from the beach. Like it's basically a workout to get back up to the condo. But when you're there and you look at the Adriatic Sea and then you see multiple islands in front of you, right? Because the islands are close there. So you see them right next to you there. Some mornings there's dolphins kind of playing outside in the water. Then you see every Friday the chartered yachts go by and, it's just very peaceful when you're sitting there having your coffee in the morning on the balcony, looking out on that. You're right. You can deal with things that are in your email and stuff, but you can kind of flip back to like a peaceful calmness much faster. Yeah.
Exactly. And just even the way of life is different, right? I mean, it's different from Europe than it was in our favorite place, Joao Pessoa in Brazil. But, we've learned things from both countries, like Joao Pessoa particularly. It was worth waking up at 4:30 in the morning to be with the community for those 4 hours of activity on the streets.
Because at 4:30 in the morning, everybody's out
everybody's out doing something.
Because it's too hot later in the day?
No. It's just a community thing of what they do.
Okay.
They're an exercising community.
In my life.
Really?
It's the running of the bulls on the street. I call it that. It's just like a mass. Everybody's.
And then by 9 a.m. they're back home.
At 8 a.m. they open the roads again so that people can go to work. But you're either running, you're swimming, you're biking. There's
Volleyball.
gyms along the beach, volleyball, beach volleyball.
Market? Are you buying fruit at that time in market? No,
No,
none of that. Oh, so it's just activities.
Yeah, everybody just comes out and they all exercise. Seniors have their exercise
Seniors
programs.
program,
The ambulance is there. The police is there.
Come on.
That's just how it is.
incredible.
Every morning.
This is the Paradise Place?
This is the paradise.
What's it called?
Joao, Joao. Pessoa, Pessoa.
Wow.
It's the most easterly point in the Americas, and they advertise it like that.
Yes.
The sun rises
Closest
there
point
first,
to Africa.
and it's bright. Like I would
So
even
everybody's
say
fit.
Everybody's fit.
Everybody's fit. It's an exercising, healthy
Culture.
community. Yeah,
Yeah, we never experienced
Eating
anything
fresh
like
fish.
Yeah.
Fresh
fresh
fruits.
everything.
that. Yeah, the boats are coming in with the fish for the market, which opens 7:30.
I love it over when we're in Europe there and the fish markets are open
Yeah.
in the morning. You go by at like 9:30. You're like, hey, we're closing down. Like,
Yeah.
the fish markets, they're hosing the whole thing down.
Yeah.
You're late.
About colors, right? You go to the market and you have a bazillion colors.
Yeah.
Fruits.
Oh yeah, the colors of the
What kind of
fruit. Oh
fruits
my
are this,
gosh,
right?
yeah.
We were in Barcelona last year and just the market, just in Barcelona, big city. So this is not like what we're talking about, but even there, just the fruits and vegetables and even the candies and
Yeah.
everything is just,
And as I said, I can't buy this in Canada, right? I remember thinking that in Joao Pessoa. I'm sitting there.
St. Lawrence Market maybe.
No, but
No.
I can't buy what I'm seeing in front
Oh
of
no,
me.
you can't actually buy the product. Yeah.
No,
yeah.
I can't buy this community, like this does not exist there.
Well, I think food in
And they're
general-
friendly and happy. They're
So you're
crazy
happy.
friendly and happy in Brazil. So add that to the picture.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Everything is
Why are you so fucking happy? What's wrong with you?
yeah.
Fuck off. What are you doing?
They are one
Why are you talking to me all high?
country,
Why are you
yeah.
smiling? Get miserable.
But it's so bizarre
Wow.
because some of them are. There's so much, the affluent are all along the beach, right? And then you sort of, middle class. And,
Sure.
And then
Yeah.
further the
Get
interior.
into the villages.
So some of these people have nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally, whatever they own, it's on their back. And they're happy.
Do they need more? Yeah.
They're happy. They're very happy.
They know how to be happy.
But on food,
Why are you saying it that way? You don't think people here know how to be happy?
I wonder sometimes.
Why?
I don't know if, to me, coming here, it seems like a past memory.
Good for you.
well,
Yeah. Oh, the first time I went to Europe for 5 weeks, because we've gone every year for 15 years now. And I came back and I remember our office at that time, I guess we had already moved to Burlington. And I remember I went through a weird withdrawal. I remember walking around in my flip-flops because I didn't want to give them up. So I was walking around in my flip-flops and I remember looking around going, what's everyone's fucking problem here? Why's everyone's got some kind of problem? Like, chill out, smile a little bit. Why are you rushing everywhere? What's going on? And I had a real tough time adjusting.
Yeah.
Really and that was just gone for 5 weeks.
Wow.
But unlike before where it was like a 1 week trip or a 2 week trip, you're kind of like, if you're on a cruise, you land in Barcelona, you get on the cruise ship, you dart around. It's kind of almost like living a North American lifestyle and you're just seeing like a movie clip of like a
What
market
it's
quickly.
like.
You're there for an hour. But when you're there for weeks, like Nick will get in the car, he'll go to the gym first thing in the morning, windows down, music blaring. You're looking over the Adriatic Sea. He'll stop and get some fresh bread at the market, come back and I'm grinding my coffee. I'm making French press. I never make French press here. I'm grinding my coffee by hand. I'm grinding it by hand. I'm weighing it. I'm taking all morning. I think all morning to make my coffee and breakfast, but there's nowhere to be.
Yeah.
And then I remember when we first started going, we'd run to the beach at like 9:30 in the morning. And there was nobody there. I'm like, Carol, look at all these people sleeping. They don't know any better. Now I know everybody's getting to market, having some fresh fruit, taking their time.
Right.
If they've been out earlier because it's already getting hot at 9:30. And then no one's at the beach. No locals are at the beach until like 4 p.m.
Right.
They were out first thing in the morning. So if you're there at 9:30, like you guys are saying, you missed them.
Yes.
And then there are no locals there till 4. They look at the tourists who are there from 9 to 3. They're like, what's your problem? The sun's way out. You don't come out now.
You don't fry
this
this,
is
yeah.
a nightmare. We don't want to go there hiding under a little umbrella. Then you go down to the beach at like 4 in the afternoon. It's like the golden hour there of the sun and the, playing
Yes.
around, splashing around and you're eating food and you come back and you're just like, I think it's really had an effect on me spending so much time over there every year.
That's key, because one of the things, like some rock stars and some other people contact me, and I don't share this often enough, but if you really want to get a feel for a place, like, especially if you're exploring to live, every time, like in my experience, and it's my experience only, don't spend 2 weeks or 1 month. Mm-hmm. You have to get past two hurdles. You have to get past 3 months, mm-hmm. and you have to get past 6 months. Because to me,
you really get a feel for
3 months, you're still seeing the place through the eyes of a tourist. After 3 months, you're beginning to integrate yourself a bit more into the culture, the society. After 6 months, life is different.
We encourage a lot of our clients to rent first.
Yes.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Wise.
Or what do you think we should buy?
No.
I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah.
It's a different feel. I mean, you talked about the Algarve, right? So
yeah.
you went to Lagos.
I love Lagos. I don't know if I should love Lagos or not. I know the politics of Portugal, but I was like, I loved Lagos.
Yeah.
That was like a great spot.
Well, that's one out of probably 8 major locations, 10 locations along. I mean, it's 100. And people say, I want to move to the Algarve. Okay.
Where?
Which spot in 160 kilometers do you want to?
We also went to Albufeira, and that was hilarious because it was all English people doing karaoke, and I was like, oh my gosh, I look like these people. I don't really, like, I've never been in an area, because our mom's Scottish, our father's Croatian, but I definitely look more Scottish than Croatian, and I had never been around a bunch of English. So I remember walking through Albufeira, of all places, mm-hmm. seeing all these, I guess, English and Scottish people, and I go, oh my gosh, these people all kind of look like me. I've never been in an area where people look like me before. I've never seen so many people that look exactly kind of like me.
Yeah.
It was definitely freaky. Mm-hmm. I wanted to get out of there. Scared the shit out of me.
Albufeira, we call it the Fort Lauderdale on spring vacation.
Yeah, I don't know why Ruben brought us there. He brought us there. We got to go to Albufeira. I hated the place. I wanted to get out of there. I'm like, oh, this isn't my scene. Everyone's drunk at night singing these songs.
That's right.
I'm like, this is not my scene. Like, I want to get up at like 5 a.m. by the beach and read a book while the sun comes up. That's like, I'm not here for the karaoke and the beer. So you're right. You need to rent.
Yes,
you need to rent.
Yeah.
Get a feel for it, and we have a huge laugh. Like where we live in the island, everything's 10 minutes away. The airport's 10 minutes away. The North Beach is 10 minutes away. Whatever you want to go to, the hot springs is 10 minutes away. So you get all this stuff. It's 10 minutes away. And for them, if you say, I'll meet you, the Eastern Island, which is 45 minutes away. That's shit. A day's journey. Oh my God.
And it would take them a whole day, because they'd stop for coffee, go to the bank, go here. My cousin once, I remember telling Carol when we were first going to Croatia, I'm like, Carol, we're just going to go to the bank. Then my cousin needs to pick up something from some farmer. We'll be, I don't know exactly how long, 2-3 hours. 14 hours later, we're at the bank. Then the guy we need to speak to, he's on break or hasn't showed up. So then we go have a coffee. Then we come back. He's still not there. We're waiting in the bank. We finally talk to him. Then he meets a friend. We sit down and have another coffee. Then we got to change cities entirely. But on the way to changing cities, you need to get something done. And then we get to this other place. We get back 14 hours later. I'm like, holy shit, I just burned a day. But you're chilling out and relaxed the whole time, and you're eating food through the journey. Yeah. But you're right. I can totally relate.
Well, I think so. Let's say from Faro to Albufeira, I'm probably not exaggerating, there's probably 50 hidden little beaches along the way.
Is there?
There's nobody there.
Yeah.
You climb down.
I could kind of see that when I was on those steep coasts next to Lagos there, and you're looking down, you're like, wow, what's down there?
So you find these little golden spots. So the tourists go all to Albufeira. They go on a certain place. And so the locals, they laugh at you. They go to these little beaches. They have little beach bars. Just so you're sitting there. It's amazing. So you have those experiences. But it's been different. It's been different.
It'll be interesting.
Those are the fun parts.
Yeah. So you'll have to.
You got to tell them the price of golf.
Oh. So project number 3.
Okay.
Yeah, we're on to project number.
So Villas by the Green is what we're calling it. So a little piece of land that was for sale for 20 years. Literally, I don't know, 150 feet away from the golf course gate.
Okay.
And so we go there, and it was 289 euros for every 3 months. Play all you want.
Oh my God.
A bucket of balls?
$2.
Wow.
€2, right? $3.
Wow.
for you.
Don't tell Nigel on our team. He'll be there tomorrow.
I'm telling you, so I'm not a very good golfer, but I could hit a ball. And
At that price, you could try.
you can try.
Yeah.
But so I wanted to learn, get some lessons. It was 6 lessons for 116 euros.
Yeah.
100 euros plus the tax, whatever, which is usually included. So 6 1-hour lessons for $100 or $150.
Wow.
So it was, little things like that. But the best part is that, you show up anytime. There's 3 9-holes and you don't
have at it.
Did you book your tea time? What?
Yeah.
Book a tea time.
Just start.
What is that?
Yeah.
Just pick one and go. All right. Okay. Not 5 minutes or 10 minutes later, you can tee off somewhere. So those are underutilized, very underutilized the golf courses. So there's an opportunity there as well. The golf courses.
I could see your light bulb moments you guys are having as you're looking around these places.
Yeah.
Just going, oh my gosh.
Yeah, things are, I mean, I wouldn't say it's been slower, but it's been a process. Even one of the things we were speaking about this morning was the healthcare system there. Because we've heard about it. We are expats who didn't go take out, expat insurance. Because when you're stuck in COVID, it was expensive what we were being quoted. So we just tried to be the healthiest that we could.
Sure.
But coming back to the Azores particularly, there are 2 hospitals. There's one that, the locals tend to go to.
Okay.
And then there's this new private hospital. So we finally signed up for the private hospital.
Okay.
And it's costing us a whopping 27 euros a month.
For the both of us.
For the 2 of us to have discounts on whatever they offer. So I told him, well, he decided to have, and we're allowed 2 free medicals and 1 dental checkup and cleaning and 1 eye exam with that.
$13.
So
have you used any of the services? Or are they
so
good?
this is the funniest thing.
Excellent.
So he went for his first physical. The blood work came. He went that morning. I don't know, in a few hours, the blood work, and this was like a complete blood profile with some extra tests.
Not the mini partials.
€4.50 is what we had to pay. And I'm just giggling. I'm like, what? This is crazy.
Oh, good for you guys, man.
The ECG was maybe around €20. It was less than €20.
Yeah, we get robbed.
Decent facility.
Excellent. Oh my gosh.
State-of-the-art hospital.
State-of-the-art facilities.
You need an MRI.
How great does that make you feel? Yes, if you need an MRI, you can get an MRI.
An MRI.
How much is an MRI?
€500.
And you can get it the next day.
I don't know about the next day,
but it's relatively fast.
Not the next year.
Not the next year. In a week.
Yeah, probably within a week you can have an MRI.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's but the cost of medication. So
that was a joke.
I got some allergy medicine because I thought maybe some allergy. I don't know. Got 4 basic prescriptions. Cost me a whopping €6.
Wow.
Right. And the doctor was telling him for one of the things that she prescribed, looking at him, this should not cost you more than €2.50. And he's asking her per pill. And she's like, no, the whole thing.
For 2 months worth of medication.
I love that about them over there.
It was crazy. It was just, so we were talking about because the Americans, you were asking, Americans come for the healthcare. In the United States, they're paying $2,000, $3,000 a month.
So it makes sense they're there.
They have, for €250, you can get a state-of-the-art medical plan.
You're a champion.
You're a champion. So surgery that would cost $50,000 in the U.S. will cost you $5,000 in Europe. Right. So how can you justify the difference in the level of care from people that we know? Like, we've been blessed that we haven't had these issues, but people that we're meeting now, because we're catering to these people, that need procedures. They're blown away by the level of care and service that's available.
And they're not rushing
every time I drive up to Collingwood, there's a hospital begging for an MRI machine up here. Before it was the Collingwood Hospital, now it's the one in Orangeville. They have a big billboard at the side saying, please help support for an MRI machine. And I just keep thinking, over and over, how much money do we spend on taxes in this country? And we have hospitals that need to put up billboards to support the community to get an MRI machine?
That's correct.
Are we smoking crack in this country? Or why doesn't every hospital have enough MRI machines? Can you imagine the amount of taxes we pay? Yeah. And the government doesn't have enough. I guess this would be the provincial governments don't have enough to put MRI machines. Can we not just double the amount of MRI machines for the amount of taxes we pay in every hospital? I can't even find out how many beds we have per capita by region in this province. I'd just like to know, how many hospital beds do we have per capita. No one will tell you. And maybe I just haven't found it. Someone listening to this is going to tell it to me, but I couldn't. I remember reaching out. How do I find this information? Are we on the right trend or the wrong trend? Basic information. So when you hear stuff like that in the Azores, where you can get a procedure done that would be $50,000 in the US, or you would wait maybe an extended period of time here in Canada, and you can get it there for $5,000 in, let's say, short order, it's a rather frustrating to hear that.
And you
Now, now I'm turning into the Canadian. Now I'm turning into the miserable Canadian. I'm happy, I swear.
Yeah, so, you look at medication, you look at the basic cell service. I paid 29 euros for unlimited data cell.
Across Europe.
500 minutes.
Don't even talk to me about that.
Right? So, I mean, you have all
piss me off.
Yeah, and the quality of...
I was happy this morning.
Sorry.
You're pissing me off. Your happiness is pissing me off. Okay? Your joy and fulfillment is pissing me off right now.
So my mentor
get your
would
act
say,
together.
Tom, being pissed off is a choice.
Yeah. I'm going to use this energy.
It's a choice.
Okay? That's what I'm going to say. Tony Robbins told me that. Use your frustration. It's fuel. Okay? Anyway, guys, for people listening to this that want to reach out to, first of all, do you want anyone reaching out to you or no?
Sure. Why not?
Okay. How would they reach out to you? What's the best way? Give it to us.
Revision 2025 at gmail.com.
2025. Revision 2025 at gmail.com. Ernest and Risel.
Yeah. So, I mean, social media, Ernest and Risel Furtado. We're in there. Facebook,
Oh, yeah.
this, that, whatever.
Yeah. RiselFurtado.com.
Thanks for stopping by. I know you were here. RiselFurtado.com. That's right. I shared that on the last one.
you
Yes.
did.
Yeah. Thank you.
Risel does our
And
podcast.
thank you for, I know you're just in Canada for a few days.
2 more hours.
We're leaving.
A few more hours. You're getting out of here.
Today, yeah.
Remember, leave all your Canadian dollars at the door, please. Okay?
It's useless there.
Yeah, I know. You guys are laughing. Yeah, we don't even have any. We only have euros. Your breakfast here is cheap, actually, when you look at it through our lens. Oh, geez.
No flavor.
No flavor. I know. The
no
bacon here.
flavor.
Ugh. I mean, it's good. I like bacon. I'm not complaining, but it could be better. Thank you for coming by, spending some time with us and sharing this journey. And you'll have to keep us posted on the developments that you're doing and what's going on. And if we can promote it, we want to promote it.
Yeah, I think in a couple of months, we want to just triple check everything.
Yeah, you want to have it right.
Yeah, and I think there's opportunities for the group. I mean, obviously, we're still Rockstar members, and so you know how to find us in one of the groups somewhere. You can reach out to us or through you guys. A lot of people.
Oh, we'll always connect anyone who wants. Yeah,
thing, and
you can reach us on the Rockstar VIP group if you're a VIP member on Telegram. Yeah.
So we're in there, but exciting. So we look forward to sharing some.
Yeah,
there's some really great opportunities. I'm very excited. To when I see what's happening here, because we still own assets here as well, and where the potential upside is it's another long haul.
Mm-hmm.
You and I talked about how things came down, and we're still on this cycle as opposed to now.
Yeah, and the cycles change. It's kind of nature, but
But
all right,
not keeping all our eggs in one
guys.
basket.
Yeah, smart. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. You can find every new episode of the Your Life, Your Term show on all the major streaming platforms. So Spotify, iTunes, Google Play. And if you'd like to get free copies of some of the books that we've put together, like these right here, or some of the reports that we've put together, like these right here, you can find all of those at www.rockstarinnercircle.com. That's www.rockstarinnercircle.com. That's it for now. Until next time, your life, your terms.